You've been there. It's a rather nice place.
Osaka. I was there a long time ago. Yeah.
Because everyone thought, oh, well, it's like Birmingham, but it's not really at all.
5 seconds, yeah.
Globalisation has left us with 4 major problems that need to be solved to avoid future crises. That's the argument in a new book published today. It's called The Levelling. It's written by the former Chief Investment Officer at Credit Suisse, also former university academic Michael O Sullivan. He's with me now.
Good morning.
Welcome to you indeed.
Thank you.
Now, I think most people would agree that globalisation, there's been a backlash against that there's a public problem with it, and you've really written this book as what happens next.
Exactly, and every day now we get a reminder that the edifice of globalisation, be it attacks on liberal democracy, trade, is beginning to crumble. And we'll probably have 4 or 5 more years of this kind of noise and disorder. And into that vacuum, you need new ideas, you need new frameworks. And that's what I'm trying to point to in the book. I don't have all the solutions, but what we need to avoid is we go back to a repeat of the 20s, 30s, which many people are saying is the avenue of the world. And there are plenty of problems. There's indebtedness, the role of central banks. There's a crucial need, also I think in a Brexit or post-Brexit environment, to rediscover the secrets of organic economic growth.
One of the things you say is that the traditional left-right, socialist, conservative party divide has gone, is breaking down.
I think we're at a historic point in terms of political entrepreneurship, the creation and destruction of political parties. Look at Germany, Social Democrats almost gone. Look at France, the 2 main parties almost gone. Brexit could split the Tories. We may eventually have a new centre party. It could even split the Union. So everything in a way is up for grabs. And I think again, new people and new ideas need to come forward to try and remake this.
You've called the book The Levelling in a tribute to the Levellers, who were a group at the time of the English Revolution, suppressed by Cromwell, who basically wanted a much more egalitarian society. And you think that's what's coming back?
I hope it's coming back. I like the Levellers. I'm somewhat disappointed that many British people don't know enough about the Putney debates and about the Levellers. And 2 things interest me about them. One is that instead of complaining, tweeting, etc., they were very constructive. They wrote these things called the Agreements of the People, which set out in a very tangible way what people wanted from politics and for a fairer society. At the time, they had a glimpse of democracy in the UK. The second thing is that they failed. They were outmaneuvered by Cromwell. And that's a lesson to all the people who are maybe idealistic, who want better politics. You have to be worldly wise and understand the statecraft.
I mean, I'm interested, you describe Cromwell, I think, as a member of the elite. I mean, a lot of people would still see him as a revolutionary.
He was a revolutionary in many respects. He soon became, the sort of the great protector. He soon became the elite very, very quickly. And I think, again, if you look across, we've just seen the dissolution of Change UK, which is a new party, lasted for a couple of weeks. There are few examples of people who managed this revolution. Macron is an interesting one because he's understood that in France you have to do revolution from inside the system, not from outside.
Now, it's not what the book's about, but where does Brexit fit into all this?
I think what I would love for Brexit is just people stop being obsessed by personalities and by the short term. And I think there's a couple of things in the context of this book. One is for the British political class to try and map out where Britain fits in this new world order. In a world, a multipolar world dominated by Europe, China and the US, Britain is not as powerful as it used to be, and it needs to craft its place. The second is to rediscover what makes organic economic growth. If you look at productivity in the UK, it's at multi-decade, even multi-century lows. And you can see that across the entire country. Look at the economies of the north and the northeast. So that for me is vital. And I think, unfortunately, because of the whole Brexit debate and the way it's been conducted, politicians in this country have had a sort of a policy holiday for the last 3 years when there are many things that they have neglected. We're beginning to see those come up. And I think then there's a new generation of politicians in this country, 40 plus or so, who I think are probably the ones who are going to bring these ideas through.
You've had a political career and an investment career as advising banks. Would you invest in the UK right now?
The interesting thing about the UK, it's about the only neglected asset class across all of the asset classes in the world. You talk to institutional investors in the States or in Asia. They're curious about what's happening. They're a bit scared, but they are reluctant to put any money to work, and they're not going to do it soon. I think people are worried about what's happening with the Tories, about Johnson, about where we are in October. So it may be too early yet, but it's one of perhaps its most unloved investment destination in the world. And I think for people to really put money to work in the UK, you need to see a credible vision, not just for the economy, but for politics.
And does that mean doing Brexit? Have we gone too far to sort of change our minds?
I think it probably means doing Brexit in a way that doesn't damage the country economically, but also politically, in that it doesn't leave a divided body politic and a divided society.
OK, the book is called The Levelling. It's by Michael O Sullivan, and it's out now. Well, much more on All Out Politics to come up in the next hour.